Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Rajneesh Agarwal. I represent PDA Consultants, and we are MEP design consultants working on a couple of hospitals apart from other kind of projects. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I am Dr. Sudipti Arora. I am Environmental Research Scientist and Assistant Director at Dr. Bilal Institute of Biotechnology, which is an academic and research institution. So I am into water and waste management particularly, and I'm also ESG consultant. And I'm also founder of an NGO called Prakrit Foundation, which strives to bring science for society. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Dr. Amit Chaudhary. I represent KPM Engineering Consultant as Associate Director, and my passion is about the sustainable society, sustainable infrastructure design, and building MEP design is my forte.
And you're aware you're the only doctor on our healthcare panel, right? Oh yeah, doctor. Two doctors
I'm
are here.
PhD doctor.
He's also PhD doctor, right? Vivek.
Very good afternoon, everyone. This is Vivek Mahajan. I am from an engineering consulting called UADC. We do a lot of hospitals in India, and I've done a couple of hospitals abroad in US as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Vivek. Avroji.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Avro Chatterjee. I'm Director Projects and Maintenance for Ruby Hall Group of Hospitals in Pune. I'm representing the owners in this conclave.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Samdarsh Nair, and I am a partner at SNC Sunil Nair Consultants. We are a 35-year-old MEP and sustainability firm, ESG firm, and we have a lot of expertise doing healthcare projects across the country. Great to be a part of this panel. Thank you.
Thank you, Samdarsh. Nilesh.
Good afternoon. Myself Nilesh Shinde. By profession, I'm a medical engineer. Maybe the unique from this group of people. And I started my career with GE and Siemens. I used to handle CT scan, MRI machines. After doing that, from 2004 onwards, I'm the founder member of Jupiter Hospital Group, and I take care of projects as well as operation maintenance. Currently, I'm the Group Chief Technical Officer and Head Projects. Thank you.
Thank you, Nilesh. Manu.
This is Architect Manu Malhotra. I am Director at RSMS Architects, or the only architect on the panel today. And Ashish has already warned me that he's going to grill me. But anyways, we are a firm based out of New Delhi, and we specialize in healthcare buildings. We're doing projects pan-India.
Thank you. Rahim.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Rahim Panjwani with Leelavati Foundation as a principal advisor. I'm leading the project in Gift City, Gandhinagar. And my forte is looking at the financial part of the Leelavati Foundation. Thank you.
All right. So, हमारे पास ये पैनल है जिसमें कि प्राइमरली MEP कंसल्टेंट्स हैं, हॉस्पिटल ओनर्स हैं, एक बेचारा आर्किटेक्ट है, and somebody is with a water and waste specialization. So that's how the panel composition is. Great to have that. Rules are very simple. There are no questions directed to anyone. The questions will be right in the center. Please pick them up, and you're welcome to give your views. Keep it brief, short and sweet, and that's what you're looking at. And Jayanta, since you have sat with the panelists, you are also one of the panelists now, so you'll bring the contractor's opinion into the whole thing. So Vishal चले गए बाहर, इसीलिए आपका उनको जैसे ही पता लगा आप पैनल पे बैठने जा रहे हैं. Any point of time, any one of you want to ask a question, feel free, because there is no fun if we don't have the involvement of the audience. So anyone that you like to ask. So let's start. I think सबसे simple. So the question is, मेरी chair यहाँ लगेगी या वहाँ लगेगी? No, मैं यहीं ठीक हूँ. I'm fine. No chair needed. I'm good. Thank you so much. So I'll stand here, simpler, because at least we are at eye to eye level. So let's start. सबसे पहले owners जो आप लोग सभी यहाँ पे हैं. Our topic is towards net zero and enhancing sustainability in hospitals. So my request is, जब हम बात करेंगे इसके बारे में, problems हम सबको पता है. Let's talk of solutions, आगे क्या करना है. So let's talk of technology, let's talk of future, let's talk of more positive. Negatives तो सारे पता ही हैं हम लोगों को क्या problems हैं, तो अभी इससे पहले भी बता के गए हैं हमको. Let's start with the owner panel here. जब आप, everybody knows about sustainability, everybody knows कि net zero जाना है, everybody knows green करना है. Even हमारे जो HU manufacturer हैं जो हमसे पहले आके बोल के गए कि हम अपनी factory green कर रहे हैं, सभी कर रहे हैं. And I'm sure आपने जितने hospital बना रहे हैं, आप सबके सब green hospital ही बना रहे होंगे, because that is the trend. तो आपकी सबसे पहले brief क्या होती है that you give to the architects and to the engineers? How do you start? Yes, Nilesh, you want to take that? Sure.
Yes, so I
And
will,
believe me, there is no question which they have been prepared with. I just want to tell all of you, इनमें से किसी को क्वेश्चन नहीं पता क्योंकि मुझे भी नहीं पता क्वेश्चंस. जो होगा यही होगा, सामने होगा. चलिए, जी
the
नीलेश.
question whatever he has asked is a really relevant question because we started our first hospital in 2004 and we were basically from a medical engineering background. So when we started and when we initialized or when we inaugurated our hospital in 2007, yeah, that was 400 bedded tertiary care hospital in Thane. It was really equipped with all the equipment which were available at that time. Okay, but during course of time, when operations were started, we realized that there is something missing, and that was basically our electricity bill in 2010 was somewhere around 60 lakhs to 70 lakhs per month, and it was really pinching to us. That we understood that yes, we have done one of the best hospital from technology point of whatever best for the patient we have done it, but yes, we are missing, and then we decided that whatever we need to do, our earlier next project has to be energy efficient hospital.
So नीलेश, वो तो आपने decide किया. What about the brief that you go and give to the
Okay, so for energy efficient hospital, first thing is that owner has to decide we have to make energy efficient hospital because the way earlier presentation has said, we have to invest something on that day one, then only you are going to get fruit out of that. So abhi जैसा radio the 4 people who are there, the owner has to decide. Second is architect, then interior and MEP consultant. When I'm saying architect, they have to use the building plot to वही मिलेगा जैसा city like Bombay, you don't have option with that. So whatever plot you will get, you have to work, daylight spacing you need to do, you have to connect to the nature, that we need to tell to architect. Very important, we are talking about indoor air quality. But आपने देखा रहेगा, because I am into operation and maintenance, बहुत बार तो एक चीज आता है, ceiling suspended होता है. अभी सर्विस कौन करेगा? And then how you are going to maintain the air quality there? That is the main question. Why we are not, even if we are doing 7 lakh square feet area, फिर भी एक चीज जो 100 square feet का है, वो ceiling पे जाता है. So then it is very difficult. So that has to be there. Then when we say for the MEP point of view, we are talking about, there are a lot of, if you see that in hospital, there is a lot of load which is there. In night time you can see that, in daytime, there is huge gap, almost 50% it goes down drastically. Now, as a consultant, they have to come up and they have to inform the owners that there are certain things like magnetic centrifugal chillers are there, which may be 2.5 times maybe costlier than the screw VFD.
Sure,
but they should
Nilesh,
have to do it.
you got into technical side. Yes, Avru, you'd like to take that up?
Ashish, I would like to answer your question what the briefing is.
Yes.
You know, as an owner, the first thing we appoint an architect who has got an experience in sustainability and giving us green buildings. We built a new hospital in Vanori and we have it certified as a platinum green, green rating is platinum in that building. Here we have got a perfect envelope which helps us in keeping the building cool. Then we have got energy saving fixtures, we have got energy saving chillers. So all these were part of the briefing was to keep the electrical consumption down. By keeping the electrical consumption down, we achieve a greater rating towards
Sure, Avru, I
sustainability.
think that's a great one. So you
Yeah.
start by selecting your partners who have an experience.
That's right.
जिनको experience है sustainability
Yes.
में and efficient hospital.
That's right.
But all of you are speaking still with respect to energy. Sustainability goes into much larger area. यहाँ पे zero पे कहीं energy नहीं लिखा हुआ.
Yeah.
Water and waste also comes in. So आपका उस पे कोई brief रहता है?
Yeah, then we, after the architect, we select our MEP consultants. In the MEP consultants, the plumbing consultants are most important. Where the clear diktat is that we have to recycle the wastewater so that we treat the grey water and we use it for flushing and we use it for landscaping. So all these directives are given to the consultants right in the beginning.
Sure.
So unless you have these diktats clear in position, the consultants cannot have a clear
Sudhir, do you
mind.
want to pick up something? Yeah.
Yeah, I want to say that when we talk about net zero, it is very important that we also consider water and waste. We want water positivity, I would say, in the campus, and we want zero waste to landfill.
And that
These
should
are
be
two
part of the
more
brief
goals.
which should come from the owners.
And for
when you are
water, we
starting.
should not only think for wastewater treatment that he is mentioning, we should go for firstly water auditing. We should know how much water we are consuming. Maybe water efficiency can also be think upon. We can install technology like smart water management apps to firstly know where we stand right now in the usage. We can use water conservation while decreasing our water first. Then whatever amount is using, then we have to treat it in for reuse.
Excellent, very good point. You wanted to say something,
Before
right?
starting a hospital, what the major factor what we came across was the cost. Before accepting anything, the cost plays a very important role. So when we plan a hospital, the cost was a major factor. And I think, during this course, what I also felt that, for any building, for any hospital, I think MEP is the heart of how you plan your building.
Thank you. A big round of applause for him. यार MEP का नाम तो लिया किसी ने. Yes. Right. Thank you. Go ahead. हाँ.
I think, if you plan your MEP properly, I think I don't see that, you will have any problem, right? Like, what my colleagues, my friends said that, energy efficient, you save this, save that. But if you plan yourself, if you do your MEP properly, you will never occur a problem. You'll never have any problem.
Right. So that's a good point. But I just have one question before I come to Nilesh.
Can I add one point?
Sure. Okay.
ETP or STP, whatever we treat the water, normally we are using for landscaping as well as for the flushing. But if we do something, if we put a RO also, we can use for the makeup water for condenser, and we should look into that also aspect.
Sure.
So,
So
Ashish,
Manu,
I'll-
before I come to you, I have one question for Naeem here. You are the finance man. जितना भी यहाँ बातें होती हैं और बनाना चाहते हैं efficient hospital, green hospitals, सबसे पहले आप ही के ऊपर आके बात आती है कि money, and you also said कि money. For you, giving money is a criteria. So do you look at, suppose an architect or a MEP consultant was to bring a logic to you, आपका हॉस्पिटल 6,000 रुपए स्क्वायर फुट कॉस्ट करने हो रहा है, लेकिन अगर आप ये और लगा देंगे तो 6,500 हो जाएगा. Do you give that? Do you look at that aspect also?
I think for that, educating your owners it plays a lot of important role, how you educate your owners, because as presenting the owner's side, we really don't know what is actually green energy.
Perfect.
We really, and a lot of people, we don't know what is actually the green energy. When I actually started coming to ISRE, that's the time I started realizing, what is the decarbonization is. So it all started from, educating people. And also the cost, whenever we take anything, whenever any new thing comes, what we is, we compare. We compare what the existing and what has been offered to us.
I think that's a brilliant point that Rahim has brought out. Our challenge biggest is, we all very educated people here, we all understand कि hospital को sustainable, net zero, green बनाने के लिए क्या करना है. But जहाँ के बात फंसती है वो पैसों पे है. We start with 6,500 रुपए स्क्वायर फुट का जहाँ दिया उनको कि साहब इतना आपका हॉस्पिटल कॉस्ट करेगा. The first thing comes back is budget cut करो. And here from a finance side he's saying, if you educate me, तभी तो मैं करूँगा आगे आपको पैसे दूँगा. So it comes down to education. It comes down to the proper brief. And especially if you have an existing hospital, which she is bringing out, do benchmarking of it and give that benchmark as a brief to improve upon. This would be a start of a good, sustainable hospital. Yes, ma'am.
I speak in Hindi because English हो
हाँ,
रहा है.
बिल्कुल, बिल्कुल.
एक और रीज़न है वेस्ट वाटर ट्रीटमेंट प्लांट्स के. आपने बहुत अच्छा पॉइंट प्रेस किया कि द सिस्टम्स करेंटली आर वेरी कॉस्टली एंड नॉट ओनली इन टर्म्स ऑफ कॉस्ट बट एनर्जी इंटेंसिव. लॉट ऑफ इलेक्ट्रिसिटी इज बीइंग अगेन यूज्ड टू ट्रीट वाटर which is then reused in landscaping or some other. But the thing is, we can go for nature-based sanitation solutions. There are available in market like phytoremediation, vermi remediation. I have got one patent also on one of this technology. One thing is that we can go for these options. Second is कि हम ये सोच रहे हैं कि ये net zero के लिए हम कर रहे हैं. एक और important point है कि हम क्यों करना चाहिए हमें waste water को treat, and that is the emerging contaminants and pathogens that comes out of our sewage from the hospital are really dangerous. They go and spread into the community and then it comes back to us like AMR, antimicrobial resistance, which is very important, and it's equivalent to COVID-19, I would say, and WHO has declared it as the next world war can happen on AMR. Like it's the hotspot now we have to think upon, and hospital wastewater is one of the carriers of it. And also the antibiotics and other things that we are using. Also in one of our study that is funded by the government of India, we found out that in spite of huge disinfection doses like chlorine and UV, the pathogens which are coming out to be nil in the treated effluent came out to be activated again. So that's called reactivation phenomena of these pathogens, which are really disease causing.
So all of you must be wondering कि इसका sustainability से क्या लेना दे रहा है. Please understand, if we have to treat the problem that she is bringing out जो हमारे current hospitals में है, we are going to use more resources. And the more the amount of resources you use, you are actually going away from your net zero performance. So it's a very important aspect that she has brought out, and thank you for doing that, because हम यहाँ पे सिर्फ zero जब सोचते हैं तो energy दिमाग में आता है, and here are points which will be affecting our zero going further. Now I want to come back to Manu. Just wait, Sandarsh, I'm coming to the MEP also. I want to talk to Manu because he's the architect. Manu, you heard the brief, and you are the start as far as the design is concerned. आप architect हैं, आपसे ही शुरू होता है सब कुछ. Do you feel the brief which comes to you is adequate, and the challenges that they're bringing out, education, is being correctly addressed, and how do you handle such cases?
So, most of the time, if it's a seasoned healthcare group, the brief comes around the facility plan, and green concepts and all that comes much later. Many times I have seen that the promoters themselves do not understand the value which green building actually brings in. Like we all talked about electricity bills, so on and so forth. Just to give you a little bit of perspective of my experience, and to kind of get the promoters thinking that healthcare is a low EBITDA industry, right? I mean, there's a lot of cost pressures, and if we look at
one minute, healthcare is a low EBITDA industry. कितने लोग agree करते हैं यहाँ पे? नहीं, सभी जितना मेडिकल बिल हम देते हैं उसके बाद भी लो EBITDA है तो पता नहीं फिर कहाँ जाएंगे. फिर तो होटल ही बना.
So that we'll debate about that separately. Probably the promoters would be able to answer that.
सबसे ज़्यादा पैसे ही इन्हीं के पास है.
My point is that you see, if we look at the electricity bills, right, it is actually in a tier 1 city, which is a hospital running at about 80-85% occupancy, is about 2% of the top line. 2% of the top line is a huge number. And if we actually design our buildings which are efficient, I think HVAC and electrical takes the most of it apart from the medical equipment. We can bring it down to 1%, maybe that's 50% of the top, I mean, what they're actually spending. So
this
if
is
we
the
actually
operation
educate
cost
them-
you're talking about? This is. So 2% of the operation cost goes into electricity, and what is that? What you're saying?
That's the number and data I have with me for the projects which are.
Would you agree with that number? My understanding is 7 to 8%. I thought.
You know, till time before I joined this industry, I was always under the impression that, you know, hospital वाले कुछ भी bill डाल देते हैं, कुछ भी ठोकन ठाई कर देते हैं. But when I came to the other side of the table, I realized it is so difficult for a hospital to survive with the cost of whatever they are charging. They are yet, you know, making 10 to 11 years for them to come to that level what they have spent.
And that brings us another challenge कि अगर हमें net zero जाना है, how can it be done more cost effectively, more responsibly, and what she also said, monitor the data. Okay, Manu, please carry on with your point. Great points you brought up, Manu. So I think this is a big number we should look at. In hospitals is about, and that's what Mr. Chatterjee, you also agreed, is about 2% is what is currently going for a large hospital in the operations. For small hospitals, even larger. 4 to 5%. Thank you. I think these are great data. Go ahead, Manu. And that's why hospitals are not coming up in tier 2 cities, because the challenges. Okay, I think this is a different aspect, but it's an important thing that we are talking, and we will when we are concluding the panel, we'll talk about it. Manu, please go ahead.
So that's one thing. I mean, as far as architecture is concerned, you know, we look at active ways of mitigating this. As we were talking about in cities like Bombay or Delhi or anywhere, you know, where land is a constraint, you do not have the flexibility to orient the building and all that, and that's where what you were mentioning, that technology plays an important role. We as architects are using a lot of softwares like Safaria and Energy Plus to kind of design our building envelopes to ensure that we can reduce our HVAC loads. And if we efficiently do that by running annual simulations, I have seen that we can actually reduce our HVAC requirements by as substantial number as 30%. And we are doing that on some of our projects where the HVAC requirement has reduced
So,
by
Manu,
30%.
look, what we have done so far, sorry, I'm picking on you because आपने जवाब इसका दिया. जो आज तक हमने किया, तो हमें कहीं लेके नहीं गया. Whatever we have designed so far has not taken us too far. Our hospitals continue to be not so efficient. there is a need for improvement. So tell us आगे क्या करने की जरूरत है? How, what should you be requiring from them to push your designs further in terms of more efficiency? Because जो आज किया तो हो गया, ये तो आप करते आ रहे हो, पैसिव था, आपने देख लिया उसको करना था, बट उससे तो एक लिमिटेड हमें मिला. हमें जीरो जाना है. जीरो जाने के लिए आपको और क्या चाहिए इनसे, so that you are able to push the envelope and push your MEP friends जो भी इसके बाद they're going to pounce on you. तो क्या उन्हें करने की जरूरत है?
I think the keynote speaker was also talking about a fact that we are designing basis thumb rules and we are designing basis codes, right? But the actual numbers of the hospitals, I mean, if you look at the peak demand, peak electricity load, vis-a-vis, you know, the way we calculate our loads in terms of number of points and then adding some margins over it.
ये भी MEP का issue है.
Yeah.
आपके issues क्या हैं?
So, as far as I am concerned, this is my issue, right? I mean, this is what I face with the MEP consultants, because they would benchmark everything basis the code, what is written in the code, what is the requirement, how they have to calculate the electricity load, what are the diversity factors which they have to consider in their HVAC systems, depending on various occupancy levels throughout the year. So these are the challenges which we face with the MEP consultants in terms of getting them to bridge between the reality and the code.
Sure, I think that's a great point. I would like you guys now to pick up from this point. Samdarsh first and then Vivek. Yeah.
So Ashish, I just want to go 2 steps back.
Please do.
You know, on the design brief part, and which I feel is very, very important. We worked for a multinational client that was not a healthcare client, but that multinational client had a global design guideline. That global design guideline prescribed that for my 6 lakh square foot of this space, this has to be the operational EPI, this has to be the embodied carbon. Now, why this is important is because, you know, first question which Ashish asked, that what I, basically as an owner, the brief they give, what I feel is that all the owners, being the largest shareholders, stakeholder in any basically project, they need to hire somebody to educate them to draft a good RFP document. That is very, very important, because that should clearly establish the decarbonization goal, that this is going to be the embodied carbon, this is going to be the operational carbon, this is going to be the net zero water goal, the net zero waste goal, this is going to be our budget, and this is going to be our life cycle.
So
payback,
a clear
etc.
brief is what is required,
So
which is missing from.
Correct. So the first button of the shirt has to be correct to ensure that
Perfect.
everything falls in
Vivek,
place.
you work internationally also. Is such a brief comes to you when you start a project there?
Yeah, so how other part of the world actually works, so there are KPIs which sets at start of every project, and when I say KPIs, it's a key performance indices, which means you have a data from your previous projects and you accumulate that data and you set up a standards. For example, one of my hospital, if it consumes like, let's say 250 kWh per square meter per year, that's a base case. So my target is going to be like, how do I reduce it? Because in order to ensure decarbonization, going to meet a net zero, it's very important that we set up a base KPIs and then we work towards mitigating, lowering down, reducing it as much as possible. Second, if you see hospitals, it's very important to understand how much is the kWh consumption per bed. So the focus should be to reduce kWh per bed as well. For India, kWh per bed is approximately 55. So when we say like a 55 kWh per bed per day, you multiply with the 365 days, so it comes out to be I mean, it's a substantial number, but if you convert that to CO2 emissions, so you get about 4 tons of CO2 emission per year. So what India has an average, CO2 emissions is 1.8, and hospitals are at like 4 tons CO2 emissions per capita. So here is the break even, that how do we reduce it?
So 4 ton
CO2 emissions per year.
per square meter or just
per year.
gross?
It's a per bed. It's a
Per bed.
Exactly.
4 ton CO2 emission
CO2.
per bed per year.
Yeah, correct. But if you see other parts of the world, like in US or Europe, the number goes almost double, because they are like a very energy, driven. So they use a lot of energies. So I mean, there is a heating and cooling requirements both. So I've seen their number, which goes like up to 15 or 12 tons equivalent. So that's a number two. Third, we see like a water is a very important, and we gotta go work out how the water can be reduced. For example, a typical hospital in India right now, it's consuming like, let's say if it's a hospital is more than like a 200 beds hospital something. My potable water demand goes like up to 200, 250. It depends upon location. But how do we reduce it? How do we reduce the water consumption per bed? That should be the goal.
Vivek, right now the water demand, which most of the chains have told us, is 1,000 liters per bed.
Correct.
Which includes the potable and the non-potable
correct.
also, both.
So
1,000 liters per bed
exactly.
is what I experienced.
So that's the best. So this kind of numbers are actually unorganized. So
and these are the numbers that you need, and in the owner's
Correct.
brief, this is what we should be targeting, putting it down and asking to improve. So
Exactly.
your next version of hospitals, you should have a clear brief to the all of them saying that you want a 10% better than what is being done, not matching what is currently being done. I think that's where we are trying to go.
exactly.
Are there international benchmarks available which they can refer to?
So international benchmarks are going very differently. So internationally, like other parts of the world, they're more working towards a geo exchange system now. So I've worked on one of the project, which is a largest man-made lake couple system, geo exchange, and it's a 2,300 tons. And we reduced almost like a 41 tons. It's on the YouTube, it's on the awards, it's a Sherman Hospital in Illinois. So how do we do that? So because we use the data from our previous projects, we set up a base, sitting all together, how do we reduce it? That's the number one strategy that we focus on. Then we again go over the, the waste generation. It's a substantial waste that's getting generated, especially the first time plastics that's being used, right? So the target, how we are focusing on many of our projects here, as well as abroad, to ensure any sort of a first use plastic go for the processing and it's reused somewhere.
Sure, Vivek, I think we're going too deep. I'll come back to it. So I just want to take the next question. So we've set the owner's brief. Yeah, go ahead, Sandesh. Sure.
So there are two targets available globally, benchmarks. Regarding the embodied energy, it is 150 to 180 kilograms CO2 equivalent per square meter. And whereas the operational energy is concerned, that is 110
150 to 180
kilograms CO2
emissions
per square meter.
Per square meter per year.
No, this is the construction embodied carbon. But then we have the operational carbon, which is 110 kilowatt hour per square meter per annum. That is up to 2025, and 2030 is 55 kilowatt hour per square meter per annum.
I think it's very interesting. I would not agree with them, Sandesh, because right now Denmark has already gone ahead and announced that they would like the new projects to limit down their total carbon emissions, which is embodied and operational, to 12 kilogram CO2 emissions per square meter per year. So I think we can, because since there is no verifiable data available, so we do have these challenges. I want to move to the next part. This design brief is perfect. MEP designers are great. You guys know 26 degrees, 27 degrees, whatever you want to push the things, you do that. The problem is the doctors. Problems are the medical equipment plant. Like in our IT industry, the IT industry wanted 16 degrees, 18 degrees temperatures in their data centers, which have now thankfully gone to 26, 27, we are talking about it. But in medical equipment, we continue to have a challenge where not correct water numbers, not a correct waste numbers, not a correct engineering numbers are being given. How do we tackle this if we are pushing to the net zeros?
So as far as the medical equipment considered,
Sorry, we are not talking about VFDs and cooling towers. That's not our objective. We are even going down to the other issues here. Yes.
so when we consider any hospital,
And any one of you, sorry, if anybody want to ask a question, you're more than welcome. You want to? Okay, Anuja. Okay, go ahead.
so whenever we consider any hospital, whenever we are having equipment like MRI, CT scan, cath lab, LINAC, these are always there. So if you see that all the service provider, okay, they will ask for 20 plus minus 2 degree. Okay, so it varies from 18 to 22 degrees. and humidity is very important for all the vendors that it should be less than 60% RH. But the problem, if you see that original technical data sheet, I understand that there are operational phase, maybe 12 hours that machine is working, 12 hours it is idle in a day. Okay? And if you see the technical data sheet of those all vendors,
Like a thing which we should collectively, comprehensively, holistically should think about. So not from our side, but from OEM's side as well. So
Quite
that's
fair,
it.
Vivek. Rajesh, quickly.
So we have a lot of engineers here. We have been talking of efficiencies, energy efficiency, diversity. वो सब हम बात कर रहे हैं. When we talk of hospitals as such, the first thing which comes to our mind is what is our thought of the collective group, starting from the government policies. The first thing is the National Building Code said the hospitals should not be more than 30 meters high a few years ago. And then we went up to 45 meters. When we build a very tall building, we use a lot of steel in it for the structure. And that is where the embodied carbon is the highest.
Correct.
Can somebody take a guess which city has just announced the tallest hospital of the country? The Chief Minister?
मुंबई है, अहमदाबाद, दो ही जगह हो सकती
नहीं सर.
है.
जहां बैठे हैं हम, जयपुर, 24 मंजिल का हॉस्पिटल हमारे यहाँ चीफ मिनिस्टर साहब ने 2 साल पहले अनाउंस किया. क्या हमें जरूरत है 24 मंजिल का हॉस्पिटल बनाने की? क्या जरूरत है? On one side, the Gujarat government passes a law that ICUs should not be more than the ground floor and above. They want all the ICUs to be on the ground floor. Even that is unrealistic because the infection
Right.
levels.
So the point is the briefs are not clear. Briefs are not commensurate with today's requirements. I may disagree with you. Maybe tall hospitals are the way to have a lower carbon footprint per square meter, but we don't know. Those briefs are not clear, and that's where the whole. So brief we have spoken about. I think let's get out of this. एक doctors रह गए MBBS. यार doctor तो नहीं कोई. No. Okay, doctors रह गए. Again unrealistic demand. 22 डिग्री दो, नहीं तो छोड़ दूंगा. And on the other side वैसे 24 डिग्री होना चाहिए, 25 डिग्री होना चाहिए. How do we correct the behavioral issues which also come in, which are leading to higher operation times? Arjun, you want to go ahead? Please go ahead.
So we work with doctors every day. In any hospital, there'll be 40 people. All doctors also want different things. But I would say that just like in hotels, your guests that's your customer, right? So doctor is the most important person in the hospital, and one should not call their demands unrealistic or crazy. I think they are absolutely right where they are. For example, if they are operating somewhere and they're sweating, right? You think about the kind
Excellent.
of clothes that they're wearing to operate. The patient is naked, but the doctor is heavily clothed. So if they're asking for 22 degrees, I don't think that's unrealistic. I think that's perfectly fine. Our job is to deliver what they need with the least amount of energy, right?
I may have a little bit of difference opinion, Arjun, in that. But
There's
go
some
ahead.
education and dialogue, but you have to talk
So
to them.
I want to
in
come
their
to the
language.
owners. They're two
Here I-
owners. You picked up you
Here I
went
will
into
differ.
hornet's nest. Yeah, okay.
Here I will differ because I'm there in operation phase. So yes, whenever they want, I understand orthopedic they will require, liver transplant they will require. But when they're not operational, that time why can't we go to 23? Who's
Absolutely.
stopping that?
Absolutely.
Because if you are keeping humidity, if you are keeping positive pressure, Pascal, then nothing is going
So
to
we
stop.
need systems to be intelligent, and that's why I got Arjun here. Actually, I wanted you to talk about, you mentioned there, hospitals are least automated and looking at these aspects. So that's the reason I called you here, because you are the solution. There is the behavioral, right? Something has been driven by demand, but the system can correct itself, and that.
Yeah, and
those
I'll
are
give you an
required.
example of that, right? So doctors are not, they are also good data-driven people, right? Like engineers. So most of the time they have an issue where they don't have data, right? They are dealing with people, they are saying, "Ye problem hai,"
All
and
right,
they
all
are
right,
saying
all right.
whatever but not showing them
Arjun,
data. So
I
when
want
you
to
have
get to
that,
the operation maintenance also. You wanted to give the last thing, yeah, go ahead.
But what they're discussing, it's not only doctors why they want a temperature is operation reason. At times the doctors even ask that, I need a temperature to 12 degree and 8 degree,
Right.
So
Right.
it happens, when our engineers face this issue.
And that's where again the education is needed, which is missing. And
I think
yeah.
we are doing discussions in silos. We are the
Correct.
engineers
I
are
agree
here
with
and
you.
doctors go to the medical conferences, discuss their own things. Why not integrate all of us together and then
Perfect.
talk?
Absolutely.
Integration is the key.
Yes, Rishi.
So,
Last point and we move
I
on.
think
Yeah.
one great initiative which the world took was making countrywide bodies, for example, NHS 2023 in UK, with they said we'll go net zero by 2045. Now, when we talk of hospitals, there are a few more challenges. The anesthetic gases that we release, the propellant gases, whenever we inhale. Now, during COVID, we saw almost 400 fires in hospitals. They were for various reasons. The use of oxygen was very high, use of medications was very high, overloading of electricity. Now, when we talk of diversity, Mano, I agree. We have often had debates that we should design hospitals 60% diversity or 80%. We have to actually break it down. Which are the essential operations, which are the OPDs, which are the ideals, and then arrive at figures. So when we sit as a team to design a new hospital, I think we should have.
I think that's where he was bringing out a point. He says he can provide you operational data. And that is what we are missing. We keep on, whether it's water, whether it's waste, whether it's energy, we keep on designing on what our national building code says or other HTM 2020 or whatever those are. There are all lots of codes which are there. I just want to ask you, is our codes and standards adequate as on today to help us in the journey of net zero, or there is an improvement needed there?
So there has to be improvement, has to be there, because the way we mentioned surgeons, please understand that if surgeon is there in our own clinic, doing the same surgery with split AC and window AC also. But when it comes to tertiary care hospital, then they want everything, laminar flow, HEPA filter, everything they want. Results may be same. So we need to really look into that, because these are standardized, because that is increasing cost on the tertiary care hospital.
Sure, Mr. Chatterjee.
Yeah, see, we are all missing one important point, is like our friend Mr. Arjun said, the बहुत महंगा systems. We cannot do without proper BMS systems. We need to have good data, and with that data, you need to design automation, because in large hospitals, where we've got 4 lakh square feet, 5 lakh square feet, we cannot do without automation. We cannot depend on maintenance guys to keep on manually setting the air conditioning requirements, the RH requirements. So, it is very, very important that we, go ahead with state-of-the-art BMS systems.
You wanted to say that, yeah.
Yeah, I guess, for any hospitals, being it's a greenfield or an existing hospitals, thinking about it differently is a very important for now. Existing hospital has like a lot of challenges. I would say like a tier 2, tier 3 cities. There are hospitals which are being built without even thinking of energy, and those are like growing substantially. If you see like a hospitals in the tier 2, tier 3 cities, it's a tremendous growth there, but they are not actually following. Yes, I would say like a ASHRAE 170, which is a healthcare code, is defining the codal requirement to design air quality and so on parameters for the hospitals. But if you see the tier 2, tier 3 cities, barely people bother about energy, their materials, whatever the materials that we are choosing. So for example, I'm doing a healthcare project, and the owner is like just putting a red fly ash brake. Does it really help? It doesn't really help, right? So I think there are like a tier 2, tier 3 cities shall be focused really well now, and we are targeting in a couple of
How many of you would agree with the statement he's making?
I think another point which I can add is, when you talk of remote areas, telemedicine is something which our country absolutely needs if we want to make our healthcare net zero. Why does the patient has to always travel to the hospital? Why can't simple operations like cataract be done?
I think Sudipti would be a better person to answer that, because she runs multiple centers exactly doing that. Yeah.
Yes, I think that's one of the approach which we can do, and especially in rural areas and COVID-19, many of such technologies have already been integrated. I think one more thing that I think of is AMG approach. We can avoid 1/3 of the energy. That is absolutely possible with all of us. Rest 1/3 can be minimized by energy efficient conservation measure, and by rest 1/3 we can generate our own energy. I don't know why nobody is talking about the renewable energy. That is the future, and we should go for AMG. If we will not go for AMG, we have to say OMG. Oh my God.
That's a good one. OMG. Amit, yeah.
There are nowadays so many initiatives which are getting implemented. Even you can buy the renewable energy in Mumbai by paying some extra premium. The point which you highlighted about, or we all are talking about, is water, whether it is zero liquid discharge or whether it is blue economy, net zero. But we are doing it for today. Whatever hospital is getting designed, that is a particular problem we all of us face most of the time, that the hospital is designed for today, whatever bed size. Later on, when they feel that, okay, X-ray machines are very less in numbers, or they want to add a MRI machine, what about then the net zero or that
I think it's
efficiency?
an excellent
good
point.
for the
The
tops.
growth of the hospital also needs to be factored there.
If we
yes.
look at the government part of it, then achieving any efficiency is hard. It's impossible because we can see the patients are lying in the corridors also. Fortunately, that's not the thing with the corporate hospitals, but they keep adding the equipments based on the researches or based on the vicinity demands. And at that point of time, and when the hospital is designed initially for net zero, zero liquid or energy efficient equipments, and it goes for a top.
Sure. I have 12 minutes remaining. I want to get on a very important aspect. And Jayanta, who volunteered, who said, I want to be on the panel, I want to be on the panel. He's the session chair, by the way. So I want to get to that level. You know, brief correct aa gayi, design correct aa gaya, vision correct aa gayi, future bhi soch liya, ठेकेदार तो यहीं बैठा है हमारा. And the biggest gap, ठेकेदार, right? Biggest gap between our thoughts, our design to the real life, he's the man who has to convert it. Let's hear the opinion here.
ये सब होने के बाद अभी हम ऑफर दे दिए. ऑफर देने के बाद एक ही चीज आता है, थोड़ा वैल्यू इंजीनियरिंग करो. That is it. So basically, as a contractor, we require support from a couple of people. Basically, one is from the hospital operation team because they know the real data. So, and also from the support from the consultants that they need to stick to the specifications what they have given, because what happens is that under pressure from the owner side, sometimes these specifications get diluted and then the entire effort.
So Jayanta, ये तो आज की problem है. What we are again talking is net zero.
Yeah.
What is it your suggestions are? हमें problem से पता है contracting की, आपका क्या L1 takes the job, सब कुछ हो गया. मैंने एक जगह ये भी बोला था कि अगर ताजमहल बनाना था तो शाहजहां ने अगर 3 कोर्स देके L1 का अवार्ड किया होता तो आज ताजमहल ना खड़ा हुआ होता. वो तो सबको पता है. अब करना क्या है ये बताओ.
ये चीज बंद हो जाएगा या थोड़ा कम हो जाएगा तो ऑटोमेटिक वी विल मूव टुवर्ड्स दैट, बिकॉज क्या होता है कि डिजाइन तो आ गया व्हिच इज परफेक्टली इन द ट्रैक ऑफ नेट जीरो, वी आर मूविंग टुवर्ड्स इट, बट देन द मोमेंट वी स्टार्ट डाइल्यूटिंग इट then we are off from that. So that is the biggest challenge over here.
Okay, let's hear your views. Is he the right track? Yes, Sundar.
So,
go ahead. And Vivek then after that.
See, I would recommend then the solution which Arjun proposed,
Yes.
Because at the end of the day, see, the only thing which everybody understands is money. Whether we, want to be a hypocrite or not, that's the only currency we understand.
That's how business runs.
Correct.
Exactly.
So
all of us
if
run our business.
if that guy or somebody like him or maybe Mr. Das can show a business case to the end customer, we can sell net zero.
But
that is the reason where I was saying that the operation team of the hospital needs to come into the picture because they have the actual data.
Okay, fair enough. Vivek, you have some solution?
So, so I've seen like in India and abroad as well. India over the last 10 years, what I've seen is we design, I'm so sorry, whoever the contractors here, but that's a ground reality. What I've seen is like the project gets executed. When we say in terms of a commissioning, it's a purely whether the cooling is achieved or not.
Commissioning तो बहुत दूर की बात है. Execute तो करा दो पहले उसको.
Correct. So what I've seen is like the systems are not balanced. There is no divergence. Testing and balancing is not happening. A third-party commissioning, which is brightly missing. Only the green building, which is a LEED certified, they make it a mandatory, and which is also like can be.
This is all filling up the template, giving it, and get over it.
So if you see that.
आज की डेट में by the way commissioning agent जो है 50,000 रुपए मिलता है.
Yeah. So
green building की certification कराने के लिए. Sorry, because with all due respect.
So for example, I was saying like we do a lot of commissioning projects. So what I've observed is like when we do commissioning, when we bring out our all devices to check,
I've seen like a coils actually not performing. So we say like a cooling not achieved, everything is set, coils are not performing. You look at the thermal mapping, you see that it's not balanced.
Okay.
You see like a air balancing, it's not done. Air balancing is missing, your water balancing is missing.
Yes, Sudipti, you want to say something? Then I want to go to Arjun because
Yes.
he's my
So
solution out here.
I feel that, one thing is that is very important for all of us who are sitting here and talking about net zero is intention. Why we want to do it? Do we want to do it for any certification? Do we want for money? Why we are saying that it should be a business case? I think lead by example. Be an inspiration yourself. First, practice at your own life. Are you an eco-conscious person yourself? Do you practice it at your home? Are you a zero-waste person? Do you conserve your water? Have your electricity bills reduced? I think first apply it on yourself, then to your business, and lead by example is what I
Perfect. Charity begins at home. And let's hear from owners, and then I want to actually go to this man last. Owners that you heard this issue. How do you address on your hospital? Are you being educated by these guys enough to tell you when you're making a financial decision or picking up any contractor here that look, the design will not get its final what you had asked for if you don't correct the right, if you don't choose the right person. Yes, Nilesh. Because you are MEP person. Yeah.
So in a hospital, typically we are doing planning, designing, then execution by contractor, and finally to operation phase, auto drawing, which we call it as-built drawing. अभी यहाँ बहुत बार ऐसा होता है 19-20 प्लानिंग कुछ और किया है मेरे हाथ में कुछ और ही ड्राइंग आया हुआ है ओके एंड वी आर वर्किंग ऑन दैट सो व्हाट आई फील as a owner when he decide that he has to do some net zero building. So currently the problem is that the person who designed that he is not part of that after inauguration. Or inauguration of any hospital, if you say that when we say 400 bed or 300 bed, it will take minimum 3 to 4 years to come to that peak. So that time no one is there, only operation team is there, he is there with the whatever drawings are there. So we need to do as a owner, first thing is very important and you need to ask an architect and farm owner that before start of the project, there should be sign off for drawings, which is missing in India. And because of that, till last moment, with the project chalu hai, everything will say changes in that.
Great, Nilesh. I think that's a great point. Anybody else wants to add there?
Sudipta was saying that, energy efficiency should come from within. But it's all start from the education, it start from the government policies. Government should mandate it for any building.
Why should government do it? When it makes business sense, why do you want government to intervene there? Why should government tell you how to hold a fork and a spoon there when you know fork and a spoon is this is how it can be done?
A lot of time it happens that it can be missed out by our consultant or it can be missed out from our to whomsoever we are taking advice from. So if it is mandated by the government, then it becomes compulsory for owners to follow.
But as Indians, हमें तो जुगाड़ भी पता है. जो चीज हमें बताई जाती है करनी है तो हम उसके we know how to go around it.
So to coming out to this point, I'm the project what I'm working on. There are a lot of things has been mandated by the government. The project what we are doing in the gift city.
Sure, Sudeep, you want to
That
add
means
there?
हमें अगर डंडा नहीं मिलेगा तो हम काम नहीं करेंगे क्या? Why are we waiting for someone?
Okay, right, guys. I'll just sorry, Ms. Vivek. I need to go to this man. I especially called him on dice here. You heard the problems. We know the solutions. Our problems are not design. We can handle that. Our problems are project brief. Our problems are operation data, which you can provide. You did a beautiful presentation. I loved it. Every slide, I'm taking a picture of that too. And then all of that is done. The problem is still not him, but execution and operation. Even if I've done improvements in design, I've brought it down to 2 into 400 chillers, but execution, commissioning, and operation remains the problem. How do you think the IoT, AI, big data, all of this that we talk about can help us in our journey to net zero?
Yeah, thank you. So I think fundamental answer to all the problems is in incentives. Okay, so everybody knows Berkshire Hathaway, right? He says incentives are superpowers. I believe in that. Now, if you look at him as a contractor, what is his incentive? Make money and get out of there as fast as he can. Suppose I change that. Suppose I change the contracting model and I say, okay, you ask me for 100 rupees, I'll give you 100 rupees today. I'll give you another 10 rupees after 5 years if I'm not facing any complaints. Change the contracting model, right? So I think we need to move towards outcome-based contracts. we need to move towards integrated project delivery and outcome-based contracting rather than short-term transactional contracting. And everything, we don't need government, we don't need
This is
anybody
where
to
the
change behavior.
controls
That's
and
what
everything.
we do.
Brilliant.
type of concept is.
Build, operate, transfer is what
I
you're
think
looking at.
a good example in that was, I gave Urja Bhavan, when it was made in Delhi. The contractor was given a mandate that for next 5 years, the electricity bills will be footed by you.
How do you feel about this, Rahim? आप तो finance के आदमी हैं. What do you feel about this model?
Performance contracting.
Actually, it's very difficult to put something like this onto the contractor because you really don't know your consumption. Keep it changing.
Fair enough, Manu. You come with a lot of background.
I don't know. I think government, started this with EPC contracts, but I don't think that has really.
EPC doesn't have a performance there. EPC just a timeline and a cost element.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So it's actually not going up to that point where they are supposed to maintain it over and over and
Sure.
pay back.
Samdesh, what's your view on that? Is that a solution?
So that can be the solution, I believe, because performance is something. So that is true, particularly for self-owned buildings like healthcare,
Sure.
like hotels, like data centers. Definitely not for those buildings which are plain.
Point taken. Okay, I have a question from the audience. Anuja is here. She has a question, and I'll just go there. The lady there, yes.
Hi, hello everyone. I'm architect Anuja Sound from Mumbai. Okay, so rather than question, there is a comment from me that whatever past experience I have healthcare design, I really feel the most important part is it's a patient-centric and the caregiver-centric. And that's where the healthcare planning begins. Of course, we have accreditations of JCI and NABH, which is giving you certain amount of guidelines. What I found while designing is that what all of you discussed, that there has to be a comprehensive brief, which is the owner's responsibility, where all the experts sit. And if I look at the healthcare planning, it's much more modular. It can be sliced floor-wise. So I sometimes really question that, is it not possible that to design a modular codal thing, like I have 100-bedded hospital, this should be the design brief. I have 200-bedded, I have 300-bedded, or whatever it is, and the expansion plan along with these accreditations
Was made to be changed as per the DSR. Because इससे बड़ा HU नहीं है, अपने HUs को छोटा कर दीजिए. Go everything as per the DSR. Let us not go on market rate analysis at all. So which means all new technologies which are not essentially a part of DSR are cut off there. And when we are talking of 2,000 bed hospitals, I mean, where is the technology we are talking?
अब बॉम्बे में चले जाइए तो कहते हैं 500 कीवी का ट्रांसफार्मर लगाइए. इससे ऊपर आप लगाओगे तो हमारे पास स्पेयर पार्ट अवेलेबल नहीं है, राइट? 10 ट्रांसफार्मर 500 के लगा दो, 5000 कीवी लोड है, लेकिन उसके आगे बात ना.
The most energy goes in breaking down a electrical panel because electrical panel is not there in the DSR. Capacitors.
So that's one of the
छोटी-छोटी
issues.
चीजें.
Okay, somebody started ringing the bell also. I have one more question. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Yes. So, good afternoon, everyone. I'm CMD Vayu India, and Vayu is into revolutionary green technology of air cooling, which saves 80% on operational cost, what Arjun was talking about. My question to the panel and to everybody sitting here, Vayu did 80% of COVID care temporary hospitals when COVID was there. COVID, ma'am, was a crisis situation where everybody was talking about fresh air, 24-degree, no recirculation. That happened then. After that, there's no crisis. Nobody is now talking about, a sustainable green AHU 24-degree. Who is bringing that, the codes and standards what Sir was talking about? Where are the owners? Are they not now wanting not to have that crisis situation? There's so many innovative technology in India. Who has this onus to bring it on the table?
I think the onus is on us.
Anybody wants to say something?
The onus is on us. We should say we all are here responsible for everything, and onus is on us.
Right. Okay, that's your question.
I'm Madhukar from Bangalore. This is more on the operation front. We all design the system 100% efficient, net zero, whatever we do at that. What happens post 3 months, 4 months operation? Point number one. Point number two, expansion. When you talk about all of a sudden you start doing well, third floor, 3 wards gets converted to some transplant area, something else gets converted to an operation theatre. So then how are we going to manage this kind of a situation when we really are talking about achieving net zero or what carbon neutrality or whatever we're talking about?
So I feel
Thank you. Yeah, Nilesh.
whatever we need to do at the time of design only it is possible, because later on in operation phase, even if we ask something, the priority goes like if I want to just change chiller or AHU, the cost will be somewhere around 60 lakhs, 70 lakhs, or maybe it goes to 1 crore, then always priority goes to the number of ICU. They will say that we will increase the ICU because that is going to give revenue.
So I think
Yes,
all of
that's
you,
provision.
I think the questions that are coming in, Satish also has got that. Anuja's question, Madhukar, your question, I think they're not correctly right now enough answered. You would like those answers from them, but we have run out of time. Yes, of course.
What we have when we talk about the word which you use Thekedar, today the Thekedar is actually employing the consultant on EPC. You see, it's the other way around. So we are talking about EPC, which to my understanding is a different benchmark altogether. There is no data available today, even in public domain, about government hospitals, which they can actually share the information.
So Sandeep, my start was, look, we know the problems. Give me the solution is what we are looking at.
Agreed, absolutely, we are
We have to go there. We have to go there.
No, I
How do we
know,
go there?
but I'm saying unless until the benchmark and the roadmap of EPC type of situations don't appear in our green guidelines to begin with.
Sure. Point well taken. Okay. So let me end this panel because I think we were just warming up actually. You give me 10 panelists and I had one from my side, and then you say 45 minutes, finish this off. And poor guys, I think, sorry for cutting you all off. It was just keeping you on your toes, not of your time to go through your mobiles. I think we just warmed up. We could have gone more and more. But what is clearly coming out is, first of all, a correct brief needs to come from the owners, especially from the hospital operators who have the data from the previous building, which includes the government also. You should set that as a benchmark and say you need to do 10% better on this project. You need to do 20% project better on the next project. So correct data. Second is challenge the abnormalities that you know of. You know of the abnormality of the temperature requirements, sometimes the power, the medical equipment suppliers, what they're giving, they are all influencing your, leading to oversizing, which Arjun was trying to bring out. Oversizing has come because of reason. Everybody wants to be safe. As a designer, I want to be safe. As a contractor, you need to be safe. Everybody wants to be safe. So need to correct that. Third, if you have a suggestion, educate the client. As a finance man, he's not against you, but he needs to be told because engineering is not his forte. So I was talking to him 3 days back. He said, Ashish, am I fit on the panel? I said, you are the perfect fit on the panel because you're the money man who sanctions the project, and we fight with you to give us the numbers because he has to work on the viability on one side, and second side, he needs to look at the aspirations that are coming in from here. And if we tell him that your viability is going to become better by the technology that we are suggesting you, and this is the number, this is the data, it'll do well. Fourth, I think what very clearly came out is engineers, architects, they will all rise to the occasion. There is no challenge there. Execution needs to move on to performance-based, and this is what Sandeep was trying to go in that direction, and somebody said here also, we need to move to performance-based. Everything today is now going in a performance direction. I had said that at many forums. I said performance-based designs are coming in where the whole project team comprising of architect, engineer, contractor, equipment supplier, operation people, we all have to demonstrate at the end of the day the numbers, whether it's a CO2 emission number, whether it's a water consumption number, or whether it's an energy number. We have to demonstrate, and not only demonstrate, hold it for next 2 to 3 years before you hand it over to a team. I think that's where we need to go. We'll all become accountable. Today we are so hidden when we talk to our suppliers, when we talk to contractors. Oh, there's a linkage. We need to bring that linkage out in the open. Yes, I'm linked with you because I want you to perform and demonstrate to me, because with your performance, my reputation is linked, and my reputation is linked to your reputation also. I think that has to come out in open. That's what we need to do. And finally, Arjun, I think we need to go to technology. You are the IoTs of the world, the big datas, the AIs, the BIMs, they're all leading us in that direction where adopting them will help us to optimize, whether it's design, whether it's operation, whether it's maintenance, everything starts becoming human, less dependent. I won't say independent, less dependent, and that's where we need to go. And there is no harm in having a non-technical person operate it if your operations are somewhat being done automated. So great panel. I think I love this, and believe me, none of this was rehearsed. So something came out of this. And thank you very much for being on the panel, each one of you. Thank you so much, and thank you guys. Okay, over to you.
Thank you, Ashish ji, for that wonderful and enthralling session that we had, all the panelists as well. I would request you to stay back though. To all the delegates, just post lunch, we have a very exciting and important session on district cooling. Eminent speakers from across India are going to be here. We hope you will join us back at 2:30. And to also all the women members in the audience, I'd like to let you know at RefCode, we are going to have a knowledge session on women in cool careers, her story of cooling in association with the United Nations Environment Program, INVIC and Ozone Vision. So I hope to see all of you there. I would request Jayanta K. Das ji, our President-elect, to please felicitate Mr. Ashish Rakheja. For being a wonderful moderator during the entire session. Mr. Rahim Panjwani, Financial Advisor, Leelavati Foundation. Architect Manu Malhotra, Director, RSMS Architects. Mr. Nilesh Shinde, Group Chief Technical Officer and Head Projects, Jupiter Hospitals. Mr. Samdarsh Nair, Partner at Sunil Nair Consultants. Mr. Avro Chatterjee, Director, Project and Maintenance at Ruby Hospitals. Mr. Vivek Mahajan, Managing Director, UEDC. Dr. Amit Chaudhary, Associate Director, KPM Engineering. Dr. Sudipti Arora, Director, Dr. B. Lal Institute of Biotechnology. Mr. Rajneesh Agarwal, PDA Consultants. A big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. I think we had a very good session. Mr. Arjun Gupta, Founder, Smart Jewels. I would also request Modgil ji, our Presidential Member, to felicitate our Session Chair, JKD ji, President-elect of ISHRE, for being the Session Chair. Yeah, I would request all our panelists to please come ahead for the group photo. A big round of applause for them, please.